These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
To the end zone, Rudolph! Touchdown Vikings. And so the first touchdown in the history of U.S. Bank Stadium belongs to Kyle Rudolph.
The Hail Mary from Cousins. It's caught! It's Kyle Rudolph for the Viking touchdown!
Pass is caught for the win! Kyle Rudolph and the Vikings are moving on.
All right, boys. I'm gonna give you guys two choices to choose your own adventure here off the top of this show, and I think I know what your answers are going to be.
I don't know if I can make it through today's show. First of all,
I'll hear it. It's already starting. It's already starting.
What a great. Well, go ahead.
Insincere Judd already crapping on a good 10-year career of Kyle Rudolph.
First Zucker, now Rudolph.
Do you guys want to start the show with what should be a rightful ode to a really good Vikings player who was cut yesterday, Kyle Rudolph, a guy who finished 5th as a Viking in career receptions, 5th in touchdown catches, 10th in yards receiving, a really like a haul of very good career of the Minnesota Vikings, and pay the respects and the tribute that he deserves for a decade-long career?
What's my second choice?
Or do you want to go through the people that he snubbed in the Players Tribune.com article saying goodbye to Minnesota yesterday?
Hold on a second. So I've got door one, which is a conversation to praise a guy who was good, or door two, who that guy might have snubbed, and how that snub might be falling into a pattern of players who leave here.
Well,
do you like that?
I know what your choice is, and I think I know what Declan's choice is. You guys are the ambulance chasers who would love option number 2. You more than Declan.
Yeah.
Declan's not as much of an ambulance.
Not as much
chaser.
an ambulance, but I'm very intrigued by ambulance.
Declan,
chasing.
you know what? Declan's young. He's learning.
Yes.
My sports son
I
is
can be
learning.
persuaded a lot more to Judd's angle than I can Phil's.
Yes, and I feel that's becoming more of a regular thing.
But then the other thing,
That's not Phil's angle. He's just throwing out the choice.
the other thing I think is like Kyle Rudolph is beloved, and most Vikings fans have a very high opinion of Rudolph, and I have a high opinion of Rudolph. Like, he had a really good career. I don't think he was as amazing as maybe we thought when he was a young player, but he had a really good career.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we need to do like 15, 20 minutes before write that down predictions, essentially just picking apart this PlayersTribune.com article. But if you guys want to outvote me, then we can do it.
Well, hold on a second here.
Just
to get something straight here. The incredible thing to me, like, let's start off with praising him, because there's one prolific thing here that I think has been glossed over now for the past, 18 hours since it came out that the Vikings had severed ties with Kyle. And that is how prolific he is and was, but still is. Can you imagine being called by your employer and being told that you have been let go, and in a moment's notice churning out a full piece for the Players Tribune and hitting publish on that piece seconds after processing this devastating information that your long career was done? Prolific.
Well, listen, just because you're a slow writer back in the day doesn't mean that other people can't churn out 1,000 words in 5 minutes.
Part of my multi-agreement with Bring Me the News is I had that exact clause in my contract when I leave, so I can have a pen to paper ready to go the moment I leave.
You got 10 minutes. If you can get to 1,000 words, go.
Yeah.
Just go. Perfectly formatted everything.
Well, hold on a second. If Declan did that, I've got a question then. Who would he thank? And who might he forget?
Really want to thank Rami Makloff for being a big part of my life, and Jonathan Harrison really showed me the ropes, and guys like Brad Lane meant a lot, and
Joe Nelson over at Bring Me the News
was a big part of it, and
and the Hubbard family, Dan Seaman, Matthew Collar, who was great.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
I mean, you might mention Phil too.
Danny Cunningham, just everybody.
I really think if Jimmy Butler stays here, the Wolves win that title, and Score North hits the
I
next
didn't
level.
work with Dubé, but my God, I looked up to him.
Yeah.
So
Joe Anderson.
So how do you think this happened? Do you think this? I think it's between 1,000 and 2,000 words, and it's an ode. It's called. I think it's called Dear Minnesota. Was this written? Did he anticipate being cut and he just had this written out? Or did the Vikings and him decide, listen, so we're not going to come to any sort of agreement. We're going to cut you, but we're not going to announce it or leak it until you write this piece. I'm always curious how this works.
My guess is that they talked right after the season came to an end and probably agreed it wasn't going to work. And my guess is the Vikings said, when do you want us to release you? Because he now goes on the market before the free agency period begins, but he can sign.
Yeah.
So I would guess that this had been written for probably a month and a half.
So a long list of people to thank in 10 years as a Vikings quarterback.
Okay, let's
here.
get to it. Let's we didn't vote, but who cares? Let's get to it.
You've got a highlighted. So if I'm missing something here, let me know. But so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm just going to read like the people that he's going to thank.
Of course.
There are so many people that I want to thank. I want to thank the Vikings ownership group, the Will family, Ziggy, Leonard, and Mark. Leonard getting a shout out here. I feel like Lenny never gets a shout out.
I liked him a lot. Good guy.
He's like, he never shows up to anything, right? He's just sort of in the background.
He did.
Okay.
Yeah. No, he went a lot.
I think Mark's become kind of the.
I believe
the
he was known. I
him.
believe, and I don't know if this was still true, but for years he was known as the guy who had the most expensive divorce in New Jersey state history.
Really?
Awesome.
Yes.
Like,
he had a divorce that was just. I think it's if you go Google it, it was let's say very very lucrative for the other
prenup was
side.
signed.
It sure didn't read like it at the time.
Like a 9-figure situation. So you thank the ownership. We want to thank Rick Spielman, who Ask Anyone runs one of the best front offices in the league. I want to thank Mike Zimmer. I want to thank Eric Sugarman, our head trainer. I want to thank all the strength coaches I've had in Minnesota. And then he goes on to name some of the first-rate equipment staff. Dennis Ryan, who's been there for a long time, and a bunch of other guys. All right. I want to thank my Vikings teammates from over the years. That's obviously too long a list to get into any sort of roll call, but trust me, love you guys. But then he goes into some specific names like Chad Greenway, Harrison Smith, both Notre Dame guys like Hutch, Jared Allen, Adrian Peterson, guys like Matt Castle, straight up one of the best human beings I've ever been around. Yeah. Guys like Everson Griffin, a 9-year teammate and all-time friend. Guys like Eric Kendricks, an amazing competitor who lined up against me every day in practice and helped mold me into the player I am. Guys like Sam Bradford, who never got the credit he deserved, but battled through an injury for 2 years to try and get us over the hump. In parentheses, I sincerely believe that we win a Super Bowl in 2017 if Sam is healthy. Such an incredibly talented dude, an unreal passer when his body was right. Put a pin in that one for a second. Guys like Teddy Bridgewater, another crazy talented quarterback who had some terrible injury luck, but inspired all of us with his determination and definitely left us his mark on the team. Man, just so many guys. I could go on and on. Guys like Garrett Bradbury and Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson.
Garrett Bradbury.
Yeah. Brian O'Neill. Young players just getting started.
And that's where the list.
Hold on. No, I am not done. I'm still scrolling because there's more to it. There's a big picture of Kyle.
Sorry, this is so bad.
And then
the article's not bad. I'm just saying what we're doing right now is terrible. What we're doing right now is
terrible. Hold on a second.
Hold on.
If you decide to write a piece that is, 1,500 to probably 2,000 words, and you decide to spend a huge chunk of that thanking people and writing about the influences and writing about Matt Castle, who clearly couldn't play quarterback, but was a great human being. Hold on a second. I'm going to do Control F because Phil taught me that. And I'm going to
search the page.
Yeah, Control
Yeah.
F.
What other players would you be curious to know? I mean, there's a lot of players listed here. You might have missed somebody.
Did he mention Thielen? Did he mention Adam Thielen?
He actually didn't.
He did not mention Adam
I think those guys are pretty good friends, though.
I think so.
I'm going to see here. Hold on. I'm going to, let's see. Okay, we did Thielen. He didn't show up. How about this
We're
one?
terrible humans.
COUSINS. Enter. Oh, hold on. It must have. Control F must not work all the time.
No, sometimes you have to try it twice.
Let's try it again.
Did you spell it right, too? It's
you know what? I'm going to try it again.
Yeah, I'm not going to spell it.
Cousins.
Did you try it without the capital C in case?
Okay, I'll do a lowercase. I'll do a lowercase C. Let's see. Enter. Oh, no, hold on. I got to the end again. Oh, yeah. I guess he didn't mention Kirk Cousins. Hold on. I'm going to go back to when Stefan Diggs wrote for the Players Tribune when he went to Buffalo, because that one he clearly called it. He had to say thank you to Kirk Cousins, right? Hold on.
Did he on that note? Did he thank Stefan Diggs? Was there any mention of Stefan Diggs in the Kyle Rudolph article?
No.
Oh, weird.
I wouldn't.
I thought a player like that who would have won the Super Bowl in 2017 on that squad with Sam Bradford, you'd shout him out.
So the two quarterbacks who threw Kyle the most touchdown passes in his career, the fifth most touchdown receptions of any Vikings receiver or tight end in franchise history. Christian Ponder threw him the most. Christian Ponder found him 13 times. He did not thank Christian Ponder for finding him 13 times in the end zone. That's a huge disrespect to Christian Ponder. But I see why maybe he was omitted from the discussion. Kirk Cousins has thrown him 11 touchdown passes over the last 3 years, the second most of any Vikings quarterback. And unless some of the article was chopped out for time constraints.
Space reasons? We don't have enough space in the Players Tribune for this, Kyle.
What do we make of this?
Which paragraphs do you want us to take out?
It's just interesting. It's just interesting,
Well,
right?
hold on a
That
sec.
you would go out of your way to say, hey, Vikings players, this is way too long of a list to like actually name people, so I'm not going to. But here's like 50 names.
You know what?
None of them including the guy that threw me 11 touchdown passes the last 3 years.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
And a touchdown pass that helped us win a playoff game.
I'm willing to accept and just roll with the punches on the majority of oversights of teammates for the most part, right? Like Thielen's the perfect example. Adam Thielen is a guy who you would not expect him. I mean, they're friends, but he might have just not mentioned him. I totally get that. But let's go to the Cousins one, okay? Because that would be like if you had
he named Matt Castle.
And
he named Matt Castle.
And this is your quarterback. This would be like if you had 4 or 5 ex-wives and you named 3 of them. Like the quarterback's not just a teammate.
No, it's ex-girlfriends.
Oh, sure. But I'm just saying, this is not an oversight of a teammate. Thielen, potential oversight, right? Or, I don't know.
Riley Reef.
Yeah,
he's
somebody.
He's on the other side half the time. I don't know.
And you like them a lot, and they're your friends, but you know what? You don't really think about it too much.
Not the guy that you share a ball with.
The guy who had control of getting you said ball.
Dude, he thanked Matt Castle.
I know.
Matt Castle.
Well, and he did, and there's 2 quarterback digs here to me. No pun intended off Stefan. There's 2 quarterback digs here to me that I can't get past. Okay, one is Kirk Cousins' name, just like the Diggs piece in the Player Tribune, is nowhere to be found. Okay, that's one. The second one is, no matter how good or bad he was ultimately, Case Keenum really helped this team and helped them get to a 13-win season in 2017. And he threw the first touchdown pass, but before it all went awry in Philadelphia, the first touchdown pass that gave the Vikings a 7-0 lead, if I'm not mistaken, in that NFC Championship game was Case Keenum to Kyle Rudolph, okay? And he basically comes back and says, Sammy Bradford, he would have done it.
So
those are the 2 digs. Those are the 2 things I see as real.
Yeah, let's go back to that one. That's
Kyle is, people in this town for the most part really like him, and I will say this: he ain't a dumb guy. Okay,
he is very calculated.
He is very calculated. So don't think that when we're talking about quarterbacks and what he is writing in this case, that is just happenstance. That's how things were either phrased or people's names didn't show up.
Do you guys agree with his assertion? I agree with what he says about Bradford, that when healthy, Sam Bradford was just a dime thrower when he was healthy.
Absolutely.
But he was so fragile and the guy couldn't stay on the field. He's got 15 knee surgeries or whatever. If Sam Bradford had stayed healthy in 2017, he's either saying that they would have won more than 13 regular season games, thus having a home playoff game and a better chance against the Eagles in the NFC title game. Or he's saying that Sam Bradford wouldn't have thrown the pick 6 to alter that game in the first half, or somehow would have gotten into a high-scoring shootout with Nick Foles, right? And they would have won the game like 31-28 or something. Do you guys buy that? Do you think the Vikings would have gone on to further lengths than Case Keenum took them if Sam Bradford was healthy?
No. I don't, and here's why. The defense in that in the conference championship game, Phil, collapsed so completely that I don't think they win 14 games. I mean, Sam is good, and when healthy, had the potential probably to be great, but I don't look at Sam as being oh my God, that was the guy. I think the trade was smart because when Teddy went down, the Vikings could not possibly say Sean Hill is our guy. And that was a lack of preparation by the Vikings in who the backup quarterback was going into that season. But all of that being said, no, I don't think if Bradford is the starting quarterback that this team is miraculously hoisted to Lombardi Trophy status. Do you?
No, I don't think so. I think
that's a big
that defensive meltdown was like, as of right now, unfortunately, Mike Zimmer, I think he's a very good head coach and a great defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. The standout moment in his head coaching career is getting worked in that NFC Championship game. It just is like that. They had the best defense in the NFL. And that defense didn't just give up 21 or 24. That defense got worked in that game. So I don't agree with him. I had to test out my own control find just to see. Like, I even searched Kirk. It is amazing that you would write this. It is very calculated and amazing that you would write this article and name that many guys, including Matt Castle, and not name Kirk Cousins.
Yes.
And if anyone, I don't know exactly what it means, but I know that when you're feeling the feelings and you're emotional and you're typing this out probably multiple times and running it by other people, it's not like he just wrote this and submitted it, right? A bunch of people put an eye on it and probably asked him, hey, you named a few quarterbacks here.
Yes, you're so right.
Do you want to name Kirk Cousins? Just like you didn't include Kirk Cousins in here.
Yeah.
And he probably said, nah, we're good. That's interesting. It's interesting.
Yes.
It totally is.
So
all right. You guys are cynical. You're Kirk
yeah,
haters.
yeah, no, we're cynical.
No,
when a calculated person who we all agree is a pretty smart dude does this, and as you said, probably sat on this and reread this, knowing him hundreds of times. Yeah, I have questions about why. And look, I will go so far, boys, as to partially absolve Kyle and say, I have real questions about why not one, but two people whose livings were based on catching passes. Okay. Like that was their bread and butter. It made them millions of dollars. Kyle and Stefan. Right pieces, both really smart guys. Right pieces for the Players Tribune, which is all about players' voices, right? Like there's no, you should do this or do that. I believe that they are basically told, pen to paper, we will translate it if it's not written really well, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And both of those guys write send-offs to being Vikings and leave out the guy that got him the football?
Dude.
Like I got questions here.
Did you pull up the Stefan Diggs one? Because I just pulled it up here. It's Let's Get It Buffalo, and it's a picture of him after the Minneapolis Miracle up top, right? So Control F, just out of curiosity. Cousins, nothing. Kirk. He did say Kirk was one of the first guys to text me. He was super appreciative of the time we spent together over the last couple of years, and he was just as encouraging, wishing me the best of luck in Buffalo. And it's like, what do I even say about Kirk? This is a man who has invited me over into his home, introduced me to his family, put in the extra hours with us. He's a guy who, through all the ups and downs over the last couple of years, I've developed a tremendous amount of appreciation and respect for. I'm definitely going to miss playing with him and learning from him. So he did. That's
more than I recall. Okay,
he did have some good glowing things to say about Kirk.
I think
for the record,
we all remember too that it wasn't necessarily Kirk that Stefan had the beef with. It was the philosophy and the
system,
way the team
etc.
Yes, that's very true. Yes,
Yep.
He did not hate Kirk.
Yep. And Kyle has been pretty open and honest in a couple different interviews lately about, listen, whether it's with the Vikings or somebody else, I feel like I have a lot more to offer. I mean, even he was chirping about the system. And you know what? This is where I'll actually stand in front of Kirk and take a bullet here. I don't know that Kirk is in love with, I think he likes the system because I think he loves play action. I don't know that Kirk is in love with handing the ball off as often as the Vikings do. And some of the games at the end of the season where Kirk was yelling and chirping at, I mean, there were times where he's chirping at Clint Kubiak on the sideline because Clint's there, right?
Yeah.
And Gary's up in the press box, so Clint is the first line of defense to chirp at somebody when you're mad. And I'm sure some of the frustration is, I'd like to get the ball to guys like Kyle and Jefferson more too, but we're handing off too often. So
yeah.
Anyways, wow, that was interesting. And it's not even, just to clarify, like I'll just speak for myself. I don't blame Kyle if he feels like Kirk is something other than one of his favorite teammates or friends or whatever. If he didn't want to name Kirk, I'm fine with that. I'm not ripping him for it. I just think it's interesting.
No, we're dissecting it. It's intriguing why you wouldn't name a quarterback who you spent the last three years with. Mm-hmm. It's just an interesting fact because, again, this was a very well thought out piece. This was not, as I jokingly said, he did not get the call and then churn out 2,000 words.
Yeah.
Like this is a piece that he had been working on and probably rewrote a few times. And it's just the relationship between the receivers, the guys that catch the ball, and Kirk, to me, and then to your point, Phil, because I agree completely with this, how the system is run. It's a very interesting conversation that I think you when it comes to the success or lack thereof of the Vikings has to be explored. It just has to be.
Mm-hmm. You know what else has to be explored? If you're a business owner, you should explore MyShield by Federated Mutual Insurance Company, because MyShield is the online client destination for risk management resources. As a business owner, how helpful would it be for you to have employee training at your fingertips, industry resources that can help your business reach another level of success? That's where MyShield comes in. If you're already a Federated client, well, what are you waiting for? Get registered today so you can jump on MyShield through federatedinsurance.com or download the app. And if you want to just talk to your Federated Insurance marketing rep, you can do that too. Contact information at federatedinsurance.com. At Federated, it's our business to protect yours. We have more on this on Purple Daily today as well. And Judd's got a list of the 5 greatest Vikings tight ends. I think we'll do that on Purple Daily because we got to get to some write that down predictions on Mackey and Judd too. And don't forget, you can find us on Instagram. Declan has been rocking it on Instagram at Score North. And about once a week, I'm jumping in and doing Q&As. And we're going to have some more exclusive content. So follow at Score North, SKOR North on Instagram. And be sure to download the Score North app as well if you want breaking news alerts. And if you want to read all of Judd's articles and find all of our content in one place.